It's that time again for the Remix Ideas 4th Annual Black Founder Summit, advancing racial equity entrepreneurship with special guest speaker, nationally renowned and former USA Today columnist, Dr. Julianne Malveaux. October 5th, 2023, from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Absolutely free at the Ron Robinson Theater, 100 River Market Avenue in Little Rock, Arkansas. Register at blackfoundersummit.com. That's blackfoundersummit.com. Here's speakers like Reverend Corey Anderson, Adrian F. Brown, Anthony Young, and Cynthia Terry on October 5th at the Ron Robinson Theater for free, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the 4th Annual Black Founders Summit presented by Remix Ideas. Register at blackfoundersummit.com.
Over 300,000 Arkansans have lost their Medicaid since April of this year. Did you lose your Medicaid? Did you go to the doctor and could not get the care you needed because you lost your Medicaid? Did you go to the pharmacy to pick up a prescription?
Have you ever been in a room where one person does all the talking and no one else gets a word in edgewise? No one likes feeling that their voice doesn't matter, especially when it comes to our own government. How will special interest groups and the politicians they pay for when we all vote? We can elect leaders who will deliver a future that works for every Arkansan, no matter what they look like, where they come from, or how much money they have. A better future is possible, but it will take every single one of us making our voice heard. Visit GetLoudArkansas.org to get registered, get informed, and start getting loud today.
Denise, do you have any of these announcements? Well, you want to go announcements today?
I just have one, not those.
Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's a little after 9 o'clock. You heard the music, so you know what time it is. It's time for the workplace here on KABF 88.3 FM, Voice of the People Community Radio. I'm your host for the workplace, Toney Orr, and as always, in studio with me. Well, not always, most times in studio with me is my co-host, the lovely Reverend Dr. Denise Donnell.
Yeah, you can just call me Denise. Grand Rising, everybody.
And so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm running behind. I'm behind schedule. So it seems like I'm rushing a little bit. That's the reason why I'm starting to catch my breath and to kind of get into the flow of everything. But first of all, I just want to thank all of you, our listening audience, for tuning in this morning to the show. Without you, there would not be a KABF 88.3. It's through your financial contributions. It's through your volunteerism. It's through showing up in spaces, whether it's for the show, whether it's for events. It's because of you that we've been able to do what we have been doing for 39 years, heading into year 40, and we just appreciate all that you do. So we're looking to have a good show today. And before I go any farther, I want to give my co-host Denise an opportunity to greet you.
Yes, again, Grand Rising. I do have one announcement. It's a carryover from Tuesday because I did not do as good of a job as I should have. I failed, Keith, in reminding you that free tickets are available for this Saturday's performance of Cynthia's Place. So September 9th, 2023, from 2 to 4 p.m., Sparking Dialogue Through Drama uses the performing arts to start family conversations about socially relevant topics. Designed for adults and children to attend together, this program begins with a reading of Candace Jones's play, Cynthia's Place, followed by a discussion with a panel of artists and experts. It is a stage reading performance, and it will be located at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts at 501 East 9th Street, Little Rock, 72202. Free tickets. There, you call us, tell us the name of the play, Cynthia's Place, and you will get free tickets. Now, it is true. The play is free anyway. The play is free anyway. The caveat is that you have to go online to RSVP. So for those people who do not have access to internet, we want to make sure that there is no barrier keeping you from attending this play. So if you need these free tickets, we've got these free tickets available for you. I've got 10 of them to give away. Cynthia's Place is all you have to say when you call in at 501-433-0088. Cynthia's Place is all you have to say. The free tickets will be yours for Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Museum of Fine Arts, the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts.
Thank you, Denise. So throughout the week, I get emails from Dana Dossett, who is with the city of Little Rock, and she sends me announcements to talk about over the air that affects the community or involves community. And so I had quite a few, about 4 of them this morning. So Dancing at Dusk. This is an event that happens every Thursday in September from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And it starts this Thursday, and it's going to be 50s era music, and it's going to be food trucks, local dance instructors, prizes for best dressed and best dancer, and music by DJ Most Wanted. It's going to be at the River Market Pavilion at 400 President Clinton Avenue, and it's sponsored by the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that's tonight. The first one is tonight. It's going to be September 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. And it's going to be at the River Market Pavilion from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And tonight is 50s era music. Food trucks, local dance instructors, and prizes for best dressed and for best dancer. Also, this is kind of early, but we just want to start getting it out there now. The lunch break, breaking the cycle of single parent poverty through education, is going to be Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Enjoy the lunch while changing lives at the lunch break. It's going to be from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., like I said, on Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. And it's going to be at City Center, 315 North Shackelford Road in Little Rock, and we'll get more information to you as that date approaches. The Markham Kroger is reopening a hiring event this Saturday, September 9th. It's going to be at 8415 West Markham in Little Rock, Arkansas. During this event, we will be hiring for all in-store roles. At Kroger, we're so much more than a grocery store. We are a family. Join our team and get comprehensive medical, dental, and vision benefits, 401 stock benefits, and flexible spending, $21,000 in tuition reimbursement, endless opportunities to learn and advance, associate perks and discounts, opportunities to help in hunger and eliminate waste in the community, and much more. So for our in-store events, please pre-apply online, and we're looking forward to speaking with you. This is the Kroger Company, and like I said, this is this Saturday, September 9th at 8415 West Markham, Little Rock, Arkansas. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And our last announcement is you're invited to Food Desert Summit, Wednesday, September 13th, from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Addressing food access in Arkansas, solutions for food deserts, Wednesday, September 13th at the center at University Park, 6401 West 12th in Little Rock. For information and tickets, visit www.arhungeralliance.org/food desert. A limited number of $10,000 planning grants available to qualified communities. And the keynote speaker will be Jimmy Wright, president of Wright Food Solutions. Once again, that's going to be on Wednesday, September 13th, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Center at University Park, 6401 West 12th Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. So, and once again, as we always do, whether it's Tuesday or Thursday, that's a lot of information to be throwing out. If you want more information, just give me a call at 501-247-3869, and I can give that information out to you, or I can give you information on where you can go to get more information. So, want to talk this morning. First of all, want to just set this over the air. Got a great comment from a listener on Tuesday. For those who were listening to the Tuesday show, someone called me and identified themselves as a white person, and they asked the question, "What do they need to do? What is it that they need to do as a white person to understand or to I think the first step that they need to do to understand how to understand what's going on with white, with black, and maybe you can help me out, Denise. I'm trying to figure out exactly if you remember how he said it, because we were talking about understanding what we carry in our bodies when it comes to the trauma.
I remember him asking what would we, and I assumed that we meant black folks, what would we expect from white folks in this conversation, in this struggle, in this bond of humanity? Like, what would we expect for them to do in order to help, or to be an ally?
Okay. And so I was talking to him yesterday, and he said that he really enjoyed the way you explained it about carrying the trauma, carrying all the hurt and pain of our ancestors in our lives, and that white people have to understand that they carry it too. And then he says, that he said, I had to realize that I'm a recovering racist. Yeah.
And he said, I tell people, I am a recovering racist. And he was very moved by your explanation because he never thought about it like that. And so just wanted to just give a shout out to you for explaining it to him in a way that resonated with him. I think that's one of the things we try to do here on KBF with so many of our shows, especially our talk shows, is that if you allow yourself to get into space and just listen and hear and just understand some of the things that are being said, that it may give you an opportunity to start to think differently.
One of the listeners says that there's a major echo coming from the stream, well, from us on the air. And I just wanted to see if there's something that we can do to help with the sound.
I don't.
You don't see anything?
I don't see anything.
You don't see anything?
And I
We
don't,
can't find it, listener. Deidre, we can't find it.
and I don't hear anything.
There was another listener, Phyllis Brown, was also listening to the show, or maybe she watched it later on. You all do know you can do that, right? Like, these shows are being recorded on my Facebook page. So Denise Donnell with the bald head. I think I have like 3 or 4 pages. I can't seem to get rid of the other ones. But you can at any time go and listen to the show on my page. I don't have it where you can like be my friend. I think you have to just follow me at this point because I've got so many friends. But you can still scroll through and find the show on that day, and you can watch it and listen to it again. And Phyllis Brown suggested that the caller and all listeners who may be having the same question as this gentleman from Tuesday, that resource that you can use to help is the book This Here Flesh by Cole Arthur Riley, and chapters 9 and 10 in particular. But the book that could also be of service to you is This Here Flesh by Cole Arthur Riley, and chapters 9 and 10 in particular.
And so, what I want to talk about this morning, I did want to just give that shout out. Shout out to Denise, that comment that was given by this person. He did say he listens to the show all the time. He loves the dialogue. He loves the conversation. And he believes that it's very important that we have these conversations because that's the only way we're going to move forward. So what I want to talk about this morning is this week was Labor Day. Monday was Labor Day. And a lot of people just look at it as another day. Look at it and say another opportunity to, whether it's get out of the grill or different things. But they don't understand the true meaning of Labor Day and why it's so important, especially to Black people. When you start talking about organized labor, almost everything that has been, when it comes to working, that has been afforded to workers, whether you have a work under a collective bargaining agreement, that's a contract that you have between you and your employer, or you work at a place that doesn't have one. There are certain things that you just take for granted, that you expect to happen. Your 40-hour work week, your overtime, your time and a half, your holiday pay, your maternity leave, vacation, sick time. All those things came about because of organized labor. It used to be where you could actually work, children as, back in the early parts of this country, especially the Northeast and the textile mills, you had children who were as young as 7 and 8 working these textile mills, and they would work them all day. There was no laws, there was nothing that stopped a business from exploiting workers. And if you think, and when you think about it, if they did this to white workers, imagine what they did, how they exploited black workers. You know, all you got to do is go back to when black people were kidnapped and brought over to this country, and it was free labor, free labor. So, you know, and whatever the owners wanted to do to the workers or to the slaves, it was okay. So as we start to move forward and labor started to, as laws changed and labor started to come into, organized labor started to come into effect, workers stood up and said, we want better. We want this. One of the greatest strikes, and people talk about, if you ever take a labor class, one of the things they talk about is the Pullman strike in Chicago. This is where black workers, they worked in the Pullman cars. They were the Pullman cars. They were the ones who waited on everybody. And you know, whether call it the dinner car, the sleeping car, these were the workers who waited on them. And they were black workers. They went on strike because they wanted better. And it happened in Chicago, and they were actually, I want to say between 50 and 100 of these workers were killed because the railroad came in with armed security and just, you know, to repel them, and it ended up being that they were killed. This is one of the first incidents of black workers standing up for their rights, standing up for better working conditions, standing up for better wages. And so when Denise on Tuesday talked about what we carry, however you feel about unions, however you feel about organized labor, we have to understand that there are those who stood in the face of challenges, who stood in the face of danger, who stood in the face of death to fight for better, to fight for their rights, to fight for what they felt like was dignity. When you look at the civil rights movement, it was always intertwined with labor. And sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes we forget that in order to get something, sometimes you have to stand and not back down. Sometimes you have to say, you know, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, and I want better. And when I think about this, you know, when I think about Labor Day, not only do I think about me as a labor organizer, but I also think about those organizers who came before me. A. Philip Randolph, who was a labor organizer, all who came before me. In reality, Dr. Martin Luther King, that was part of his role. He was a labor organizer. People don't mention that as much as his role as a civil rights leader, but he met, even when he was assassinated in Memphis, he was meeting with garbage workers for a better pay, for better dignity, to be treated human. And so when we think about this, when we think about our jobs, when we think about what we feel like we need on our jobs, what we don't have on our jobs, we have that right to stand up and say, I want better. I want better. I want to see a change. And it starts with understanding that if you don't understand what you carry inside of you, if you don't understand what has already happened, then how can you understand where you need to go? And so this morning, I want to have that discussion. I want to have that discussion about, how do you look at your work situation? How do you look at what you feel like you should need on your job? How do you feel about some of the changes that need to happen. I look at the actors are still on strike, the writers are still on strike. I look at the United Auto Workers. They have proposed, a industry changing proposal for their new contract. And management is pushing back already, but they're saying this is what we want. This is the transformative idea that we want to see happen. They want a 42% increase in wages. They want a 4-day work week. They want more money put into their pension. These, they're like, hold up, you asking for too much. Well, what is too much? I think sometimes we ask for a little because we believe we can't get a lot. And I think if you push, if you push for what you want, if you push for the top, I believe that makes a lot of business believe that, hey, these people are for real. This group is for real. And I think that's one of the reasons why the actors and the writers are still on strike, because they're not backing down. So I just want to take a minute and give Denise anything.
First, let me say that the listeners say that as long as you are right in front of the mic and the echo doesn't come through, it's when you move away from the mic that they hear the echo. So I just wanted to try to keep you right there. I thought about this, and I think this is the first time that I've really thought about it when you said when our ancestors were kidnapped from and captured and brought over to this land and then enslaved, that it was free labor. And no doubt about it, it was free labor to those who were enslaving them, to those whose this very system that continues to oppress those same bodies, the descendants of those same bodies, and even those same bodies, because they have not yet been, there has not been justice, reparations, restitution for what happened to them. But I thought about it for the first time, that labor was not free for those Black bodies. So I just started thinking about the toll that it took on the captured human, the kidnapped human, the enslaved human. And we lost so much. We lost lives. We lost joy. We lost the art of play. We lost our lives. We lost children. Our families were separated. We were raped, and both men and women and children. It cost us so much to provide this labor that was free, that someone else can just kind of like, right, well, like think nothing of it because it doesn't cost me anything, so I don't have to think much of it at all. And so talking about what we carry in our bodies, we also carry, yes, that pain and that trauma, but many Black people continue to also carry this idea that we have to work so hard because we have to prove ourselves beyond the inhumane that some people see and continue to see when they look at us. And so when you have a group like the auto workers saying, no, I am understanding that it is not possible for you to be who you are if it were not for me. And so I demand that you recognize that. I demand that you give me what I don't want to say give me what I'm worth, because no one could ever pay us what we're worth, but you are not going to continue to capitalize off of my body as a commodity. And in this case, it doesn't matter what color you are. I just always center Black bodies, but it doesn't matter if you are an auto worker. This is who we're talking about. You are not going to continue to just dismiss my labor because you think that it's nothing to you, because it allows you to be who you want to be and to get all the things that you want to get without taking into consideration how it not only affects my body, but my legacy. And I was just thinking about that as you were talking.
Yeah, and Sullivan talks about this often when he calls in. And I'm sorry, phone lines are open 501-433-0088. Phone lines are open 501-433-0088. He talks about when he calls in, he talks about these systems and he talks about how white inhumanity controls, he says sexism, religion, economics, and labor. And all of those are offshoots of capitalism. I think capitalism is that it's the one thing that glues everything else together. Because to me, capitalism is about how can I exploit you for my gain? How can I get from you that benefits me? I know we only think about capitalism in money, but capitalism comes, it's a broad, to me, it's broad because there are some things I can capitalize on that may not be financial. It may empower me to oppress you more. It may give me, it may give me a way to keep you uneducated. It may give me a way to keep you from understanding some things, which keeps you in a perpetual state of servitude or submission. And so when you start looking at capitalism and you start thinking about labor and you start thinking about economics, it has always amazed me that here in the state of Arkansas, that you have 10 of the top 20 richest people in this country live in the state of Arkansas. Their businesses are headquartered, well, they said headquartered here in the state of Arkansas. And 4 of these individuals rank as some of the richest people in the world. But then when you look at the businesses they control, the food industry they control, the retail industry they control, the trucking industry they control, the financial industry that they control, that money does not trickle down to the people who need it the most.
So what we're talking about here? We're talking about Walmart, we're talking about Tyson, we're talking about JB Hunt.
Yeah, we're talking about Walmart, we're talking about Tyson, we're talking about JB Hunt. I'm trying to think of the other person. And Stevens.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that the listeners are clear.
Okay,
I want
okay.
to make sure that they don't think I'm scared to call them out. I want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that capitalism for me is born and rooted and sourced in racism. And I don't want to leave that out of the conversation. I don't want people to divorce capitalism from the fact that this whole idea of how do we commodify bodies is rooted in the system of enslavement. So I wanted to add that piece because I think sometimes people feel like, oh, these are separate things, like capitalism is over here, racism is over here, so I can talk about capitalism without talking about racism, and I want for me to connect the dots.
Okay, but also, I think the root, yes, the root of it is racism, but part of that root is classism. Because capitalism has capitalism. I want to say this.
But classism was born because we created race. Race is a construct. We were not born as Black people. We were not born as white people. We were not born as Asians or Pacific Islanders. That is a construct that was created. So when we created race, we did so that we could then create class. And because of your class, now we can capitalize off of your body, depending on where you are in that classism.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Okay.
How do you see it?
I see it, and I will be, I would admit, I didn't view it like that.
Yeah, I'm asking how do you?
Yeah. So the way I see it, the way I saw it was that because not just with, I know a lot of times we center Black people, but I also talk about others. And so when you look at what white people did to their own race, their own white people, whether it was in France, whether it was in England, whether it was in these revolutions that took place in other countries, is that they oppressed, they enslaved their own people. You know, they did atrocities to their own people. And I thought about what you were talking about on Tuesday, and the fact that for centuries that this idea of capitalism, or what can I get? You know, I'm going to sail across these seas to find somewhere where I can capitalize on the people there, where I can oppress the people there, and I'm going to keep oppressing the people here. So it's something that has been in their DNA, that they have carried throughout the centuries, and so I think that's one thing we don't understand. Or maybe that people do understand and just look at it differently. But I believe that intertwinement of capitalism and the idea of whether it's enslavement, whether it's oppression, I just think it just go hand in hand.
Well, I'm not sure that my understanding of the systems of enslavement that you're talking about with white people to white people, I'm not sure that was chattel slavery, was it? I'm not sure that they considered the other white people to be their property. I know that they were commodifying them. I know that they were using their labor. I know that, but I'm not sure that the way that they were viewed as inhuman, as you're not a human. Because I know for us in America, we even enshrined it into our Constitution that you're not even a person. You're not even a full human. And so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, and if you look at it, because one of the things that, like I said, I don't think people truly understand is that when the Europeans hit this shore, they didn't come to this shore and decided that, hey, this is what we're going to do. It was something that was in them through their ancestors, that they were taught, that was passed down. So when they got here, they were like, oh, here's the perfect opportunity to put into action everything we've learned, everything that has been a part of us. Now we can do it because, you know, and we have the means, we have the way, we can do this. So people, to me, just my opinion, when they wrote this piece of paper, you know, that they considered, you know, the holy grail of democracy or whatever you want to call it, I don't think they just randomly wrote some things. Or, you know, I believe that they took what they have learned and what they have seen from centuries and said, this is what we're going to do. And they put it in there to affirm what they wanted to do.
Well, okay. And I think that if you read the notes on Virginia, I think that was Thomas Jefferson. The white person that we're talking about now, which is, you know, that started this stuff, that was part of the enshrinement. There was some measure of stupidity and ignorance in what they were doing. Because in the notes on Virginia, he says, I just don't believe that the black body is the same as the white. I just believe that. Like, I'm just looking at them, and in my mind, I'm just creating this. I'm just imagining this. I'm just concocting this. I'm just theorizing this. And then he writes it in a book, and then people read the book and say, oh, because it's in a book, then it must be true. There are people who still believe that to this day. Because you write in a book, for example, the Bible, then it must be true. And that's not always the case. There are some people who are opining, right? This is just your opinion. And because we have not been taught to think critically and deeply, we don't challenge it. So I'm not sure that all of it was about, no, I learned this. This is a skill that I'm using, that I'm exacting on the rest of the world. Some of it you just made up in your own head. It's a story you told yourself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But also, some of it is what we've learned, what they had learned, what they had through centuries of
they may have learned how to treat people as inhumane.
okay.
I'm talking about in the Notes of Virginia, you decided how to do this. You wanted to make sure that you were separating yourself from Black folks.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes, and you know, and not just from Black folks, you know, but you separated yourself from everybody if you weren't white male landowners, property owners,
because it includes the human body.
Yeah, so that's what they, you know, it was like, and they used that part right there goes directly back to how the aristocracy in Europe, that's what they did. You know, if I am a property owner, everything on my property I own. And if I own it, I can treat it anywhere I want, any way I want to. When they got here, they took it to a whole new level. You know, they said, "Hey, we're gonna go get people. We're gonna kidnap people, and they're gonna be, you know, and that's our property."
And that's the piece I wanted to make sure we had in the story, that they took it to a whole
new
other level.
level.
When you went over to Africa, to the shores, and when you went into the interior, and you chose people particularly that you knew had the skills that you could use to capitalize on.
Yeah.
To make sure.
Because let's be honest, you know, and this, you know, this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation. You know, excuse me. So if it wasn't for the Pacific regions of Africa, the Pacific people of Africa, then then this country would not have made or survived into what it is. It would not have became, because for those of you who do read your history, the first settlers who came to this country, they couldn't even make it. They couldn't even make it. The Canadians, they were able to sustain. The Spanish, they were able to sustain because they worked hand in hand with Native Americans. They work well. Whereas that white Europeans, when they got here, they could not sustain themselves. And so they started, once slaves hit the shores in 1692. Is that right? 1692?
Well, if you're talking about Nicole, she's talking about 1619.
1619. That's when it started to dawn on them, hey, these individuals, these men and women have skills. So if we can go and find these areas where these skills are, then we can bring them here, and then we can use them for these skills, and we can grow into this country, you know, or grow into this entity. You know, so people have this idea, and they try to play it in these in new textbooks or these new books they want to come out with, that, you know, that those who were brought over here enslaved didn't have no skills, that, you know, that how it is in Florida, that they learn the skill that would benefit them in later life. No, you know, we already had skills. My ancestors already had skills. They already knew how to. They already knew about agriculture. They already knew about, you know, navigation. They already knew about these things. So they want you to believe that it was the benevolence of white enslavers to rescue us from our savage lifestyle or from our being, which would better us. And that's the lie that is being portrayed because we came with skills.
Yeah, I just want to remind us that we were not slaves when we were brought over here.
Right.
Like, you did not go to Africa and get slaves. You enslaved humans that you captured and kidnapped in Africa. So I want to make sure that, because one of the things that I think is happening with our children, especially those, and with our adults, young adults who say, I'm not my ancestors, that you're carrying this trauma of believing that you have always been a slave. You have not yet unlearned. You're not yet unremembering that is the lie. That's the story. That's the narrative that they tell you, that's your beginning. That's who you are. That's the essence of who you are, because that's where they start the story for us. They start our story as enslaved humans here on this soil, but that's not the beginning of us. And so I want to always make sure that we remember that we were enslaved as humans. This was a system, this was a design by these white people. Let me get this comment in from Deidre. Europeans, Spaniards, and Arabic people all brought a brutality that was not ever seen before. Europeans, Spaniards, and Arabic people all brought a brutality that was not ever seen before. I think she's talking, when you said took it to a whole other level, I think that she's coming, she's just reminding us of what you said about the whole other level. And for white people now to intimate, just to suggest, just to even concoct this idea that Black people, and when I say Black, I mean all members of the African diaspora, that we learned from them. that as enslaved humans, we learned skills that we can now use, that were used then and continue to be used now, that help us become more productive citizens. Just the ludicrousy, but the ridiculousness, just the boldness of that lie. It just fascinates me. And it goes back to the caller asking, what can I do? And so to have a person of European history or ancestry who has been labeled white by this world, that is a great work to do, to remind yourself that this is the evil that is part of your heritage, that it is important for you to know that, so that you can stop making these moves to continue to disregard Black bodies, but also that continue to paint you in such a ridiculous light. Like you don't, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
We talked about this quite often. And yesterday when I was talking to the caller, and I'm just going to stop talking. And I know he doesn't mind. Paul Kelly was the caller. Yeah, he works with advocates for children and family for many, many years. And to hear him, and
Is he a preacher?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Just to hear him say, I am a recovered racist. And I think that's important. I think that's important because at some point in time, I'll be honest with you, Denise used to get on my nerves with this. She used to get on my nerves with this one statement. I know sometimes y'all hear us on the air and there's a flow with us, but there's sometimes off air we're into it. We're into it. Seriously into it. And she would tell me, own it. And I mean, you talking about, you have to take that deep breath. When you was a kid, and something happened, your parents got on you, and you sit there, you can't say nothing. Yeah, but you sit there. But sometimes we have to own it. Sometimes I think that's one of the things that's difficult for white society to do is to own it. If you own it, then you can start recovering from it. But until you own it, and to me, owning it is that you accept it. I accept my role. But it also, I was having a conversation with my daughter this morning. We were talking about the Proud Boys and Donald Trump and some other things. And I had to get her to know because Candace Owens came up in the conversation. And she was upset, or she had a problem that Candace Owens is a detriment to Black people because she's not owning the fact that she's complicit with some of the things that are happening to Black people, some of the laws, some of the voter suppression, all these things. And sometimes Black people, we have to be complicit. We have to own up that we're complicit. That it's some things that are happening that we're the cause of too. And I think once you own that, and once you admit that, then you can start seeing a different avenue that you can take to change it, to live differently into it, to love differently into it. Because until you do that, you're just going to be stuck.
And I think that one of the things that owning it would do, because I'll tell you to own it, I also tell you to stand on it, that for white people in particular, it will allow you to embrace your humanity. So the lie that we tell, the lie that the system of white inhumanity tells people who have been labeled white is that there is a such thing as being perfect and superior. And it's not. And so when you own it, then you can recognize your own humanity and you can realize better your complexity, and you can say, hey, I've got the ability, the capability to be evil and to do good. And I can choose every day which one I want. But if we continue this notion that I am above all, that I am better than all, that there is a way for me to be perfect and to get everything right, then that is part of the demise, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I said that before I get this comment in. So Romans says one of those particular skills, we were talking about the skills that from people who were enslaved. One of those particular skills was submission, being likened to sheep who have need of a shepherd and chooses his food, unlike the mischievous goat who, among other things, will eat almost anything. One of those particular skills, Romans says, was submission, being likened to sheep who have need of a shepherd and chooses his food, unlike the mischievous goat who, among other things, will eat almost anything. So I think I'm reading this and I'm hearing you say that one of the skills that we carried as members of the African diaspora was to be submissive. I don't agree with that, but I do think it's interesting, your choice of words, because when you think about the system of religion and Black folks and Christianity, we are always called sheep. Right, and we are sheep that needed a shepherd. That's why Jesus came. And so I think that is interesting, and I can really go with you there. But I do not want to sign on to the idea that as members who were enslaved, as people who were enslaved, the skill that we carried was to be submissive. Here's another comment that I want to get in. This is Phyllis Brown. Toney says, some of the things we are the cause of. Explain, Toney. Toney said, some of the things we are the cause of. And you were talking about Black folks. I'm sure that's what Phyllis means. And can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. I mean, there are things that we go along with in this system because, and even if it's to a detriment to us.
Wait, hold on just a minute. Go along with is not the same as cause. So you say we are the cause of, that's what she's asking.
Okay. So
what do we cause? because I think this is part of that conversation about whose work it is, right? It is not the work of Black people to eradicate racism. Like, that's the work of white folks who created this system. Yes, we have a role that we can play, but it's not our work. And so for me, that's what I hear in this question from Phyllis, like, oh, what did we cause? What did we do?
And I guess I'm looking at it like, and maybe I'm wrong to think about it like this, and I'm gonna have to do some more thinking on it. When I say cause, I'm thinking more of, there's some things that, and I guess in the strictest sense, is that we're following along with what's already there, you know, or we're following along with the system, or we bought into the system, you know. And when I say complicit, and maybe that's what I should have said, was complicit instead of cause. But I'll be honest with you, Phyllis, I can't answer that right now.
You need to think about it.
I need to think about it. I need to think about it because I don't want to say something that may be incorrect, but I also don't want to say anything that that could be correct for my part. So when I said cause, so let me think about it. I'll tell you right now, it would be 3 weeks before I give you this answer. You know, but I will give you an answer.
Raman says to me, get your mind out of agenda. Get your mind out of agenda. Submission to the universal laws that govern us all. So when he said one of those particular skills was submission. So submission to the universal laws that govern us all. So he is asking me to think about what he said in a different way. Get your mind out of agenda. So I wanted to make sure I got that comment in. I still don't agree that submission is a skill, whether we're talking about submission to the universal laws. See, when we think about the history of Black people in this country, and we talk about submission, if we look at just the era, the season of when bodies were being lynched as a form of punishment, as a form of control, as a form of psychological terror. This was domestic terrorism at its best. For me to see a body hanging, listen to Nina Simone sing that song, Strange Fruit, where you can smell the flesh of a person whose body is decaying as they hang from that tree. If I see that, if I smell that, if I walk past that and then decide that I'm going to change my behavior because I don't want that to be my end, that is not due to a skill of submission that I have. That is the work of terrorism on the human psyche.
I think one thing that we have to talk about, and I started the show off talking about the history of organized slavery and how it has affected the workplace to this day. Until Black people go beyond the shores of America and go back to the origin, go back to find out the history of their ancestors or our ancestors before they were kidnapped, before they were brought over here. We talk about this all the time. Black history didn't start in America. It started somewhere else. And you have to go back and read and research and understand, because now when you understand that, then you can connect the dots to where we are now. But understanding that will open you up to a whole new way of thinking about yourself and your ancestors. When I went to Africa, the minute I got off the plane, I felt an energy. I felt something different. And as I interacted, and as I went, it changed me in a lot of ways. And I think, and I believe that if Black people would go and find out more about who they were before the ancestors came to this country, I think it would help them out a whole lot.
I I think would also help us to stop saying Black history on some level, because it's American history, right? It's not just Black history. A couple of comments before we go. Raman says, that's why we get acted upon by a science. Those who battle are working a science that encompasses those laws. That is where knowledge is king. Let me read that one more time. That's why we get acted upon by a science. Those who battle are working a science that encompasses those laws. That is where knowledge is king. And then finally, from Phyllis Brown, read the greatest empires of Phyllis Brown will always give you a book. You hear me? Read the greatest empires of Africa.
Okay, hey, it's 10 o'clock. Our time is out.
On the dot.
We're on the dot. So I just want to let everybody know Denise will be, I don't know if she's going to have guests in for the next 3 weeks. The next 2 weeks. But anyway, at least for the next 2 weeks, I will be out of the studio. I will be out the country in Brazil. And so Denise will be here for the workplace. He'll be here for I won't be co-hosting Community Voices. And so don't try to give her a hard time on the workplace. She can handle it, but don't give her a hard time. Hey, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you when I get back. All right. Love y'all.